Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. So my name is Ali, and joining me is my boss and my colleague, Dr. Bernard. And so I'll, give you a bit of an introduction of myself. Or Dr. Bernard, would you like to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. So I'm a healthcare professional, not as a clinician, but in the corporate industry. So I started my career as a psychologist, actually. So I've studied clinical psychology, but I did not want to become a clinician. So what I did was I shifted to healthcare, digital health, and I started off with marketing, coincidentally. So I started off with healthcare marketing. I worked with multiple projects, both local and global. And the point that I decided to, step outside of healthcare marketing was I crossed a certain million in sales revenue, and I thought, okay, I'm good at this. Now I need to go to the next step. And that's where I discovered project management and product management. So I shifted to product management because I was already working on digital health solutions and digital health projects, and I understood that project and product managers are people that manage cross-functional teams and are sort of the mini CEOs of those products. So I learned product management, I came into that field, I worked with a little bit of startups, then I shifted to the UK, I did a master's in health management, and I got the chance to be affiliated and associated with Creation.co, where I got hired as a product consultant. And right now, I consult them on digital health products, and one of them that we will be talking about today. I also work with the WHO. We're doing a research on healthcare backup systems, and I'm also affiliated in a project with BART's NHS Health Foundation. So I have, my feet in multiple puddles, and I try to do as much as I can. But mainly, we'll be talking about product management and the power that it holds in the healthcare industry and in the health tech industry specifically. And I would like now Dr. Bernard to give his introduction before we start our amazing and interesting presentation that we have really worked hard and we're really excited about because we have some amazing stuff to share with all of you.
Thanks, Ali. So I'll introduce myself. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. It's really great to be here. It's such a privilege. I've never been to Pakistan, so this is my first time. So I'm very, very thankful for the hospitality that I've enjoyed over the last few days. And it's very exciting to hear some of these amazing technology that you've been using. And some of the talks over the last few days have been really great. So just like Ali, I'll just do a bit of an introduction so that you know who's talking to you. So I am Bernard. I work at Creation. That's at the top here. And I am their Senior Managing Director. I look after innovation and research for our clients. And we work with very large multinational and global pharmaceutical clients, as well as healthcare organizations within the UK and further afield. There's a couple of other logos down here. The two on the left, bottom left, are mine. That is Durham University. Just this little logo over here. I'm a research fellow there at the business school. I oversee part of the doctoral program where I teach advanced research methodology. So that's what I do there. That's why it's up there. And then I'm also an area governor at a local NHS trust. And that is going to be a little bit relevant. We've got some people here that work for hospitals in Pakistan. So the local East Kent Hospital is one of 156 hospital trusts that we have across England. Our population in England is a lot smaller than yours in Pakistan. We have 156 hospitals. East Kent is one of them, is one of the biggest ones. We employ 14,000 people, and our turnover is roughly £1 billion a year. So a very big hospital trust. And I'm there as one of the governors. So yeah, that's by way of introduction. I think I've got the clicker, so let's go. Are you ready? Excellent, great. So I think, do I click this way or that way? Which way do I click? Yep. Great, okay. Technology is great when it works. It's a simple button on the side, switch on. So that works. set for the rest of the presentation. Right, okay. So we're going to talk about marketing, and we're going to talk about pharmaceutical industry, and we're going to talk about social media. So if you are expecting something in that kind, you can stay. If you are expecting something completely different, then you're going to be even more entertained because our talk is going to be great on these topics. Right, so we wanted to set the context a little bit by describing social media as an industry. We've all seen that social media is a big influencer in many, many ways, and we just wanted to give you some context. So, the number of social media users globally is rising and has been rising roughly at 10% every year, year on year. And there's some major players there in terms of platforms. You can see we've got roughly, we don't actually know, but we think we have roughly between 8.5 and 9 billion people in the world. We know exactly how many social media users we have.
Hello.
And the reason why there is a difference between those two numbers is for no other reason than we can actually count these ones, and we can't count everybody in the world. So we have roughly about just under 7 billion users of social media. And you can see that it's projected to go even further. You can see that obviously the next, the 26, 27, and 28 figures are projected, and that's based on historical performance. So who here is on social media? Everyone. Who is not? Good question. Good question. You'll be surprised. Well, clearly about 2 billion people are not there. But yeah, loads of people are. It's amazing. So that's by way of context. So the importance of social media industry for us in today's talk and for you.
Recording stopped.
We estimate, and the sources are there, that there are roughly 100 million healthcare professionals globally, roughly speaking, of which we estimate
recording in progress
17 million globally online. About 31 million of those, 70 million, tend to use it for medical education and clinical information sharing. That's really important, and we're going to focus on that a little bit more. So there's 31 million that use this for medical and clinical education. Who here uses social media for medical or clinical education purposes? Yeah. Interesting. Great. So the heuristics almost tie up. Slightly less hands than the first hands, but still quite a lot of hands. It's great. The way this breaks down, these are all global numbers with some estimations, is actually when you think about medical and clinical education, you have to think about the generations. So I put some numbers down here. So you've got Gen X. Does anybody know what Gen X means and when it starts and ends? Roughly speaking. Sorry? 76, yeah, some people have it finishing a little bit later, 79. Yeah, so it's like, so how many, so if anybody before 1979, born, yeah, well, we got 2 hands, seriously. Oh, 3. Who else is born before 1979? We got, wow. That's great, that's great. So, no, I won't ask more. Then we've got the millennials, Gen Y. Those are people born between 1980 and roughly 2010-ish. Who's born then? Wow, that's good. I'm going to ask, but is anybody born after 2010? No.
So it's actually, I think, so till 1997 is millennials.
Right.
From 1997 till 2000.
Ooh, yeah. Good point. 97 onwards. Anybody born after 97? Yeah, oh, good. Good. Treasure that time. The time will come. So great. So think about medical education. Who benefits from medical education and social media? Pretty much everybody. Who does most of the teaching online? Who shares most of those things? Actually, you'll probably find that it's probably these two generations that tend to teach and share more. And there's actually an absolute normal reason for this. When we learn, we tend to learn from people that have gone before us. So if you learn from somebody that's been in the field, it's much more credible, right? So we want to see that actually these guys, and well, men and women, that share a lot of this online clinical and medical education are informing the next generation. And the way this is really important is because that's where we as Creation really focus. We were, about 6 weeks ago, we were in Madrid at ESC, at the European Society for Cardiology. We were talking there to some doctors, and some of them came from Bolivia. Has anybody been to Bolivia? No hands. I have, but no hands. Interesting. Does anybody know where Bolivia even is? Yeah? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so it's in South America. It's actually one of their poorest countries. Although there's some countries in South America that are rapidly trying to catch up with that status. So anyway, they came over to us and they said, look, we use medical education online almost exclusively. The reason why they were in Madrid is because most of their colleagues couldn't be there. But actually, their cardiologists needed to know some of the latest research in the field. Right? So they were there representing hundreds of cardiologists from Bolivia. And the only way they were sharing live in the sessions was through social media. It's way easier. It's way faster. And they were having active conversations. And they actually were all from that generation Z, or Z, if you like, if you're from North America. So that's by way of introduction. So globally, those are the social media industry figures. And we are going to tie this together with marketing. I'm going to tell a couple of stories about marketing and why that's important. The next one is the social media industry context in Pakistan, right? So this is where it becomes quite interesting. So if we go back to this slide, some of these we put roughly, so these are all estimates. Okay. There are some upper and lower confidence bands, as you know, when you do some of these things. The upper and lower confidence bands with the data that I found in Pakistan are a little bit wider. And for those of you who do statistics, know that that means that the data is slightly less reliable, right? There's some gaps. So nationally, we estimate that there'll be between 700,000 and 1 million HCPs working in Pakistan. Actually, the Pakistani Medical and Dental Council actually quotes a figure of 358,000. Right? So now, why do we say that it's between 700 and 1 million when the official figure says it's half of the 700? Okay. Goes back to what we call data, right? So here's a question, right? What is data? It's an actual question. Anybody, just put your hand up and shout it out. What is data? Does anybody have a working definition of what data is? Yes? Interesting, yeah. Any information for context. Thank you for sharing, that's great. I'll give you a definition that I tend to use with my doctoral students. Doctoral students are very keen on getting data. As anybody knows that done a PhD, they're very interested in getting data, but they don't really have a clear definition of what data is. Here's the definition, and if you're interested, you might want to write this down. It's very helpful. Data is a recording of an observed fact. Yeah? I'll say that again. Data is a recording of an observed fact. That's what data is. Okay? So, if you think about that definition and the 353,000 quoted by the Pakistani Medical and Dental Council, yeah, they've actually only managed to observe a certain amount of healthcare professionals in your country, and they even state that that's the case. They know that they haven't counted everybody, right? So we've estimated that probably if you extrapolate more out, it's more likely that we have, or you have in Pakistan, between 700 and 1,000 and 1 million healthcare professionals working in both formal and informal settings. That includes ambulance drivers and so on and so on. Extremely difficult to count sometimes. Okay, so we put a heuristic in that healthcare professionals, and that also applies to the previous slide, healthcare professionals have disproportionate access to internet. And the reason for this is that most healthcare professionals have quite high levels of education compared to the average population, and therefore are slightly better off, and therefore slightly have better access to infrastructure and also internet. Yeah? So we say roughly of those 700,000, it's between 500 and 380,000 will have regular access to internet. Yeah? That means, if we use the same heuristic as on the previous slide, that between 100 and 210,000 will use social media for medical and education purposes, of which the vast majority are in this room, by the looks of it, by all the hands that went up earlier, which is great. That's roughly the context of social media, both globally and for Pakistan. Yeah? Cool. All right. So it's important, it's big, it's happening, loads of things are going on, which is great. Okay. So marketing. Right. So social media also includes lots and lots of spending of people doing things and selling products on social media, right? So social media advertising is growing at roughly 11%. That's a compound annual growth rate for those of you who don't know that. So it's projected to grow over $1 trillion by 2029. $1 trillion US. Can you imagine that? That's the same as a GDP as half the countries in South America. It's crazy. So search advertising, which is the most traditional one, is the biggest share of just under 500 billion US dollars in 2025. It's a big deal. So the question is, do pharmaceuticals companies spend any significant money trying to make their product known? What do you think? Yes. Pharmaceutical companies spend a significant amount of money trying to get their product known, right? Some of that will be also through social media channels. Yeah? And that's very interesting because there's a major opportunity there. So think about how we talked about how social media is used and how social media is used by particularly clinicians. There's an absolute major opportunity there, and we'll focus on that for the rest of our talk. This is just by way of introduction, setting the context of the market, and also understanding that actually there is a lot of spend, and there's a lot of interest in social media, and there is a lot of money in it as well. Yeah, these are global figures. Okay, cool, all right. Now we got that context. What is marketing? Remember the definition about data earlier? One person put a hand up. Right? Now I'm a social scientist, right? And I like my definitions to be very clear. So, we all talk about marketing. You are here because we are talking about marketing. That's because you are interested in marketing. We all talk about these terms, and we all think we know, we talk about the same thing. Right, but what is marketing really? What is marketing? Yes, at the back. Create demand for products? Create demand for products. Thank you very much for that contribution. That's great. Yeah. Any other? Yes. Yeah, promoting products and yes, that's absolutely yes, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good definition. What do you think, Ali?
I mean, I think that's a really good definition.
Yeah.
I would say showcasing items, products.
Yeah. Creating value. Creating value for the people. Sorry, can I ask your background? Okay. Very good. Very good. Yes, another one. Oh, very good, very good. That's almost a marketing 101 answer, right? Meeting customer need with satisfaction and professionalism. Profit, yes. Oh, that's good. Yeah, we got profit in there. That's great. Okay, cool. Right, so that's great. There is an origin to this term of marketing. So I'm going to take you on a journey of how that's evolved over where we are now. Okay? So, in 1935, the American Marketing Association came up with this definition. Marketing is the performance of business activities that direct the flow of goods and services from producers to consumers. So it's all the business activities that direct the flow of goods and services from people that make them to people that want them. Yeah? That was in 1935. And you can see that it's very much about efficiency, making sure that we get market access. Yeah? It's very much tied to sales because it's very much aligning producers and consumers. Yeah? So it's a very interesting first early definition of marketing. So that's evolved, obviously, because when I asked for a definition, nobody came up with this, which is good because it's not a very sufficient definition for the 2025 version. All right. So the way this evolved from the 50s to the 70s is about need satisfaction and meeting consumer needs in a profitable way. Some of those of you who managed to put the hand up and shared with me a definition kind of said something like that, right? So it's about need satisfaction, about customer needs, but in a profitable way. We don't do it in a profitable way, we go bust. So that's important. So in the 1990s, we saw very much more of a relationship, building trust, brand loyalty, trying to build a connection. And then the digital era happened. And all of a sudden, connectivity just went everywhere. And the conversation started to shift from building trust and brand loyalty to building market share and building out the amount of products that you can shift. It's all about numbers. So data, targeting, you fall in a group, so you should be interested in my product. Automation. In the early 2000s, we got a lot of spam. We still get a lot of spam, to be fair. Some people still haven't learned, but that doesn't really work. But it's all about automation and increasing reach. You can send out 1 million emails a day. Great. Maybe somebody buys our product, right? It doesn't really matter what you communicate. And then, since in the last sort of 2 or 3, 4, 5 years, we get Gen AI, which actually gives us the opportunity to do hyper-personalization and move away from some of the automation and the data-rich focus on shifting products. That's hyper-personalization is a possibility. And we're going to talk about empathy at scale, if that's even possible. I know there is a psychologist here, so indulge me later on. Great. Okay, so that's kind of the history of the evolution of marketing, as far as we see it. And actually, there is an underlying current with this. You have very hard-nosed business models that really say, we need to have profit. And in the Western world, and increasingly globally, having $100 million of revenue and say a 50 million profit for next year is not good enough. Next year, your 50 million profit will need to be 60 or 70 or 80. It's a very hard-nosed business. Our shareholders demand more from us. We need to provide better value, meaning we shift more product, right? So we are saying the right things, but we are driven by a very hard-nosed capitalist market that always wants more. For those of you who are on a 12-month business cycle and you set sales objectives and you meet them, there's always a double-edged sword. You meet your sales objective And you go, yes, maybe I get a bonus, maybe I get something else. But in the run-up to meeting your 12-month deadline and you hitting it, the other side of the sword is really, what are we going to do for next year? Can I even do it next year? Yeah? It's like great, we've met our target for 12 months. What are we going to do 12 months from now? And how are we even going to get there? And it's very much driven by winning deals and making sure that we win. We win by selling more products or selling more services or whatever it is. And it's very much a narrative of zero sum. If we don't win, somebody else will win. Yeah? And that's very difficult to square sometimes with the narrative of creating mutual value between two partners. Because it goes against this idea of building sustainable and trusted relationships between people, which is kind of what you want. And actually, true marketing should be not about manipulation. I'll give you a discount now, knowing that in 12 months from now, the person probably won't get that discount, but I got the sale. Yeah? That's more manipulation. It's about trying to create mutual value and long-term relationships that work for both the receiver and the seller. So that's really important. We'll focus on that now. So human-centered marketing in pharma. So I think, I'm going to be honest, the pharmaceutical industry is very often misunderstood. Sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly. I think we need to just acknowledge almost the elephant in the room. But there's a lot of mistrust between consumers and providers. There's a lot of controversial in the past. There will be some controversial in the future. Partly because new drugs on large population sizes have not been done regardless of the clinical trials that you've run. When you start delivering drugs at scale, there's going to always be things that not quite go the way you were, that you foresee. But if we ask genuinely the question, is it all about selling more drugs? If you work in pharmaceutical, is it all about trying to shift product? Or is it more about understanding true human needs? Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's very difficult with a hard-nosed sales environment to be able to do that. But it's not just true human needs for the patient. It's also understanding the needs for your doctor or your physician and your caregiver. Caregivers, most people don't even think about. They're an informal, almost invisible group of people that we just tend to ignore. Actually, it's really important that we get them involved in this as well. So our work can be more deeply human and connecting on individual-based needs. And we'll tell you how we think that could happen. So from digital, where we were all about scale and numbers in the previous slides, it came very much at the cost of empathy. Right? It very much meant that actually we just do numbers, we do scale. Gen AI really offers a second chance to this. This is our little segue into generative AI, where we can actually listen much, much better to our clients, to our customers, to the needs of people, and then personally interact, or at least give a meaningful interaction in a more personalized way. And we should remember that actually this technology, and we've heard a lot about AI, generative AI, agentic AI, all these things we've heard a lot of. Actually, we should try and make sure that that technology amplifies humanity, not replace it. I mean, people have been talking a lot about, well, you're saying as a doctor, I'll be replaced by Gen AI if I am a cardiologist, or no. Or you probably won't be, but you will be if you don't make the technology yours and use it in a personalized way. It just allows you to do better things at scale. That's where we're supposed to be. So, at creation.co, what do? We kind of play on all of this a little bit. We identify healthcare professionals, who shape online conversations. Remember those slides that we talked about medical and education? We actually map out healthcare professionals globally, and we see who's sharing the most relevant clinical data, and we work with pharmaceutical clients to come alongside them. Those HCPs that we tend to find, they don't want to collaborate with pharma because they want to help you shift more product. They are interested in increasing the outcome of the patients that they see on a daily basis. And they want to amplify some of your trial data. They want to amplify some of the benefits if they truly believe and understand the science and they really feel that it will make a difference to their patients. They are advocates of trust. They do not want to talk to you about transactions. As soon as you start talking about, can you promote my product, that will not work. They need to see the relationship, and they need to see the benefit of the collaboration between pharmaceutical and their clinical environment and the benefits of their patients. So, as I say, they're advocates of trust, the ones that we tend to find.
Okay, I think that was a really, really insightful, entire pool of information, statistics, explanations, and engagement. Quite honestly, I've gone through this slide, but obviously once you're part of a presentation, there's a lot that you learn just based off of the speech that the presenter gives. So, especially the definitions. I think we got, amazing definitions from the crowd. And actually, I was very surprised to know that a lot of you are actually using social media for medical benefits, as in for education, for engagement. And I'm actually surprised because I was not expecting this. And I'm really glad that you guys are using this for this purpose, because that is exactly what I will be talking about. So coming to this slide, I want to talk about the voice of HCPs. HCPs are healthcare professionals. And I wrote down a professional asset. Why did I write down asset? Does everyone understand what asset means? Right? You all know what asset means, right? Why do you think that the voice of healthcare professionals is an asset? I'll give you an example. Bernard, can you pass me the remote? Yep. The slides stopped working right now. Who did we place our trust in to fix this? Our tech guys, right? We sort of, pulled our hands back and said, dude, just fix this. Because we know that these guys are the experts, and once we give it to them, they'll fix it. Now, if I was building a product that was a remote, or something similar to this, and imagine I had maybe 1 million, tech experts, in my database, and if I was building this product, would I not want to hear from them and listen to them and learn how they think I should build this kind of product? That is where I want you to think about healthcare professionals when pharmaceutical industry is building a product or launching, a drug or going through drug discovery. Healthcare professionals are a professional asset. So every healthcare professional's voice matters, not just to patients, but to peers, which peers is your healthcare peers, and the industry and the health systems. So health systems are influenced by who? Healthcare professionals. Why? Because they are the experts. They're the domain experts. They know their stuff. They are knowledgeable, and people rely on them completely and uninterruptedly. So more than 70% of HCPs, healthcare professionals, and we saw the statistic when everyone raised their hand, even though I'm not sure if all of you are healthcare professionals or none of you are healthcare professionals, but at least some of you might be healthcare professionals. But 70% of HCPs engage on social media regularly. And these are global statistics. Obviously, statistics in Pakistan would be slightly different, but not too much. This gives you an idea of the global landscape and how people are using social media and for what purpose. So that engagement forms patterns of learning, influence, and clinical practice that are rarely visible. So the only thing that is visible to you and to me if I'm using social media for this purpose is that I go on X, which was formerly Twitter. I don't like calling it X, but that's the name, so that's what we have to use. I would go on X and I would see the number of likes and the people I'm following, and I would still have limited visibility. Right? What are the kind of things that we miss on social media and the kind of visibility that we would like, in terms of analytics? It's much deeper. It's to understand the trends. How many healthcare professionals are talking about a certain topic? How many healthcare professionals are agreeing to something that we have no idea of? And in the context of tech experts, if I had a similar situation, how many tech experts would recommend me not to make this remote before I invest millions of dollars and millions of pounds into making this remote, and I go to launch it, and then it doesn't work, right? So the whole idea is that you go to experts, you first consult, and that's what we do, and Mazen would agree, because Mazen is a consultant himself, and so am I, and we know that organizations trust us before they spend a lot of money, and especially for the pharmaceutical industry, where money is rolling like crazy, right? They want to be sure, and they want to trust consultants and know that they're investing in the right place. Right. So how to make the most of these voices? And that is a term, that's a key term actually, HCP social learning. And we at Creation are experts of that. But the concept is what's important. Social learning is learning from the trends and the engagement and the analytics of, in this context, healthcare professionals on social media. Now, this happens all across the board. If you go on TikTok, you know that the algorithm learns from people's engagement, right? If I'm going to go back and I'm going to post on LinkedIn that I had a wonderful seminar and engagement with Health Asia, and I spoke about this topic, and a lot of people engaged with me, LinkedIn will put up my post, and it will show my post to only maybe 15 people first. And if all of those 15 people maybe spend 15 to 20 seconds on it, then the LinkedIn algorithm will push it further. If none of the 15 are interested in it, it means that my post does not have value, and LinkedIn will not push the post forward, which means that based off of this engagement, my post will not perform well on social media. Now, if certain posts are performing well on social media, it means that all of the users that have access to that post are liking that post, not physically, but in their head, they're liking that post, they're liking the content, they're connecting with it. And if you could see the top performing posts, for example, you would know that the content of those posts is rich, right? Now, what we rarely see is, again, the deeper insights, which I will touch again in a bit, but the deeper insights that you don't see usually, but based off of data analytics, it is possible to get, and that is what HCP social learning is about. So HCPs don't just broadcast. Broadcast is what? We showcase the marketing that we were talking about. Marketing can also be just putting up a billboard on the road, and it can also be actually going to subject matter experts, talking to them, convincing them, doing pilot projects or free trials. So there's a difference. So you don't just broadcast. They learn from each other, they debate, they reflect, and they co-create. Co-create means Bernard and I co-created this presentation. He had a lot to say about it. He thought certain elements in the presentation might not work. I might have disagreed. But we came together as two experts, and we brought a world-class presentation in front of you that has rich content. So we co-created this presentation. So online professional networks via communities of practice enable continuous learning. And again, that's something that we already know. Research shows that HCPs use social media for knowledge sharing. That's number one. Discussion, general discussion. Obviously, who doesn't like that? New data, which means facts. A lot of the facts that we did not know previously, but Bernard told us, and all of you told us. And professional networking, something that we international speakers are doing right here, right? And we use social media to do it regularly. I mean, I know for a fact that I go on my LinkedIn and I search up people in my area who are experts in my field, and I try to connect with them, leaders in the field, opinion leaders. The last slide that Bernard talked about, let me go back. Digital opinion leaders. If I have 5, 6 digital opinion leaders in front of me, and Bilal can contest to this, I would chase them, I would talk to them, I would pick their brains, because I know that whatever they say is very valuable. So professional networking. So these are the 4 things that people on social media engage on. So for pharma industry, the opportunity lies in recognizing peer-to-peer learning, not just one-to-many broadcast, which means that, okay, something is broadcasted, maybe not so interesting. But if Bernard and I were both doctors and we were talking about, a very interesting new therapy, that we just discovered, and we have pharmaceutical professionals in front of us, and they had a lot of money and they wanted to, put it somewhere for, money to come back, and they could see that Bernard and I as healthcare professionals were talking, they would 100% come and try to eavesdrop, because they know that once they eavesdrop, they will get the insights that they won't get anywhere else. That is what social learning is. Learning from the analytics of online engagement on social media from healthcare professionals. Where is HCP social learning used? Again, so the 4 things that I talked about, I'll just consolidate them here as well. So medical education and CPD. CPD is continuous professional development. Therapy launches and real-world feedback. Now, for pharmaceutical professionals over here, we know that product launches are a huge deal for us. Again, lots of money pumped in, lots of strategies built, lots of planning done, lots of board meetings and daily syncs and stand-up meetings that come about. For example, this conference. I mean, we can imagine that the amount of engagement and planning that people would have to do to get this conference organized. So those are the kind of things that social media is used for. KOLs and DOLs, again, key opinion leaders and digital opinion leaders, mapping. So mapping means that you understand where these opinions are originating from, the geographies, the contexts, the specialties, who is talking about what, where are they based, if they're a leader in that space or not. Global and regional learning networks. Again, the networking that I was talking about, you learn from that network. I mean, I'll give you an example. Bernard and us, we people in the UK might have a different work ethic than people in Pakistan, or especially people in the US. So I've had experience working with both, and I can tell you there's a vast difference between professionals in the US and professionals in the UK. And not to say that one is better than the other, but there's a huge difference. Now, even for healthcare professionals and the industry, it is important for us to learn. If I was launching a drug or a product in the US, I would have a completely different strategy. A, because it's a different health system. B, because they're different people. C, because their work ethic is different. I mean, I'll give you another example. Professionals in Karachi are still very different from professionals in Lahore and Islamabad, right? You must have had this experience. There's a vast difference. So imagine if there's differences between 2 cities in one country that shares the same values and principles. Imagine how vast the difference is across geographies, across countries. How do we learn from that? We need to think of something that would give us the insights that we would spend a lifetime to learn. I've had to spend 4 or 5 years to learn how the US work ethic is different from the UK. But if I had tools to, give me insights that would make me understand how I can work with these professionals before actually having to work with these professionals, those are the kind of insights that I would want to, invest in. And with that idea, and this is one of the products that I was personally working on. It's really exciting, and I'll talk about it. This is a product that we worked on. So it's an app called HC Peers, and HC Peers turns peer learning into measurable insights. And so this app exactly does what I've been trying to build, and it's not about the app. Remember, right? This is not marketing. It's about the concept. It's about the possibilities of ACP social learning. It's about the analytics and the power of analytics and the impact that it can create. And that's what we are trying to sell. You can create 5 applications like this one. Maybe not this one, because obviously it's really deep and it's really comprehensive. But it's the concept that matters. And the concept is HCP social learning. But with HC Peers, an app that we have created, HC Peers, it focuses on who among HCPs engaged with you, which communities, where, and how it influences peer behavior. So what we've done is we've connected your accounts. For example, if I sign up on HC Peers, I will connect my X account. So for people who use X for engagement and for professional benefits, you connect your X account, and it takes all of the analytics from X, even the analytics that X doesn't give you. It takes those analytics from X, and it shows you in this application to your benefit, and you learn from the engagement that you do online, and the insights that you get from this application are mind-blowing. Like, they're the kind of insights that I would use if I was investing a lot of money or building products or investing in drug discovery or talking about medicines or understanding how to network with healthcare professionals and key opinion leaders in my industry. This is the kind of app that I would go to and spend a Sunday just going through my stats and learning how many people interacted on my posts, how many of them were HCPs. And the unique selling point of this app and the value proposition is we separate the insights of healthcare professionals from your normal insights. So generally what you would get is, I got 80 likes on my post, right? What we do is we tell you 40 of those 80 likes were from healthcare professionals. 30 of those likes are from London. 10 of them are from Karachi. So these are the kind of insights that you would think, okay, do I have more engagement in London even though I'm sitting in Karachi? And if that's so, okay, then I need to invest in London, right? So for HCPers, the kind of features that we have is it enables you to view peer-tailored social media performance analytics, the thing that I was talking about. So it separates the normal analytics from HCP core analytics. So we talk about only HCPs on the application, the number of HCPs that engage with you, the number of comments that you got on your X posts that were from healthcare professionals specifically, not everyone else, the number of reposts that you got, the number of shares that you got. It enables you to assess their peer impact metrics. So as you can see, there's a graph over here and it says 11 HCPs. For example, in the 90 days, you could see that 11 healthcare professionals interacted with me maybe in the past 2 weeks or in the 3 weeks. But I might have 1 million likes on my post. But if 11 are HCPs, that's not a really good statistic. So it's not good for me to boast about, I got 1 million likes, I got 1 million likes, right? I still have just 11 likes from healthcare professionals. This is the kind of tool that will give you the insights that you would like, that you would want, if you are a healthcare professional, and especially in the pharmaceutical industry. It enables you to identify top performing posts among other HCPs. So one of your posts might have 1 million likes and the other might have 20. But the 1 million likes has only 5 healthcare professionals who liked your post, and the other post that you have 20 likes on, all 20 of them were healthcare professionals. Now you know which is more important for you as a healthcare professional or as a professional in the pharmaceutical industry, right? If you didn't have this tool, you would be boasting about the 1 million likes, even though it has no value. And then you'd be pumping up money into it, and then you'd be, organizing product launches and talking about, boasting about yourself and feeling confident, okay, I have so many likes. But it has no value. So these are the kind of tools, again, the concept. HCP social learning is the concept that we need to invest in. It enables you to discover peer engagements across geographies and specialties. So what it does is, the deep insights that I was talking about, you don't just get the number of likes and comments and reposts. It tells you the kind of specialties the healthcare professionals are who are engaging with you. It will show you 10% of them are cardiologists, 30% of them are endocrinologists, 50% of them are GPs, general physicians. Imagine the depth of the insight that you're getting. And with that, it also tells you the geography, so the locations of people that are interacting with you. Something that, for example, LinkedIn does. LinkedIn shows me, if I put a post, it shows me the engagement that my post got based off of geography. How many of individuals interacted from Pakistan? How many interacted from the UK? Now, if I wanted to add a deeper filter into it, if I wanted to know, okay, how many of those total people who engaged in the UK and in Pakistan and Canada and everywhere else, I need to know the amount of people that are e-commerce experts, right? If an app was able to do that, I would immediately invest in that app. And that's what we do with HCPers. It's tailored towards healthcare professionals specifically. And by the way, if you're not a healthcare professional, you can't get on this app. However, there's a possibility for other individuals to learn from those insights and take those insights and then use them as a consultancy for themselves. It enables you to build a focused peer network with tailored HCP recommendations. So you also get recommendations based off of your algorithm, your engagement, the kind of people that, the kind of specialties that you interact with, your own specialty. It will give you recommendations of people in your area and other areas, people that you should connect with, people that you should know, people that you should talk to, people that you should invest in. So these are some of the value propositions and the value that tools like HCPers brings into the pharmaceutical industry and the healthcare industry. And the kind of deep analytics that we are talking about on HCPers is the kind of deep analytics you would expect from HCP social learning, and the analytics that would actually help you to build strategies for your clients, for yourself, for your company, for your products. The future and the future industry impact of HCP social learning is vast. So in the digital health age, peer learning networks will shape HCP behavior faster than traditional channels. Nobody would disagree with that, right? I mean, the traditional channel is it might be direct marketing. You go to healthcare professionals yourself. But if you were getting those insights, while sitting at home, why would you spend that money, traveling that money? If there are a lot of pharmaceutical professionals here, I'm sure. How many of you are in sales? Is anyone in pharma sales here? Nobody in pharma sales? So a requirement for pharma sales is you need to have a car or a bike or something, right? You need to run around. You need to be on your feet. And sales professionals in the pharmaceutical industry, they have to be on top of their feet all the time, right? They have to be fast, quick. They need to go to doctors, talk to them, convince them. HCPers will allow you to build a network within yourself and beyond. And once that network keeps on developing, you can see that the more you engage with HCPers and the more HCPers engages with you, the deeper analytics it will be able to provide. Have you seen that sort of bacteria or that sort of, maybe I think it's an insect or bacteria that feeds with other organisms and then grows? So not in a negative context, but that is how HCPers will work if you engage more with it. Or tools like HCPers will engage and grow if you engage with it. So transform peer voices into strategic advantage. Now this is a catchphrase that I used. Transform peer voices into strategic advantage in the digital health era. That's how value gets created. And what is our goal? Our goal is to create value. So we're doing a beta rollout, and we want healthcare professionals to engage with us so that we can learn from them, and they can provide their insights and their feedback about the application. But it's a really good tool. If you are a healthcare professional, you are most welcome to join the waitlist. You can scan the QR code here right now. And what it will do is it will allow you access to the application. You can go through it, and you will see the kind of insights that it shows you. And the kind of insights that, even if you don't have them right now, for example, if you have an X account you don't use it that much, it still shows you the potential of HCP social learning. And that's what I would want to close with. It's the potential of HCP social learning. It's the potential of this concept that can advise and consult and strategize future investments, future projects, current projects, and your priorities in the healthcare industry and the pharmaceutical industry. And I will pass it back to Dr. Bernard, who will continue the presentation.
Great. Okay, so just to clarify that, there's a couple of things that I just wanted to say about this. The app is not for sale. We are giving it away for free. So this is also not a marketing in a traditional sense gimmick. It's a form of what I talked about in an earlier slide, hyper-personalization, using advanced algorithms to direct you to relevant healthcare professionals in your field that are hyper-connected, but crucially are sharing the latest information and data in your field. So yeah, it's a real opportunity. There was also something on one of the slides that Ali showed, this difference between KOL and DOL. I just wanted to focus on that for a second. So a traditional engagement in the pharmaceutical industry would say we need to have a key opinion leader and stand up front like we are now at a Congress to talk about some of the trial data, which is absolutely fine, and we still definitely need all of that. They're often principal investigators on clinical trials, and they take a long time to get to that position. Any academic knows that if you are first author on a paper, it takes a long time. Peer reviews take a long time. The clinical trial method takes a long time. They absolutely have their place, and we absolutely need to celebrate them. So traditional KOLs are not the same as digital opinion leaders. Digital opinion leaders influence massive amount of peers with the data that's already been scientifically verified. Yeah? So, and also tends to be a different generation that amplify. Okay? So most of our KOLs are sort of late 40s, early 50s, when they become principal investigator on multi-million-pound studies. Often our average DOL is at least a generation younger, right? So they are quite different. So I'll give you an example. We collaborated on a cancer treatment project with one of a major global pharmaceutical company in the UK, and they were not getting traction. They were not really understanding why the scientific conversation wasn't in line with what they were hoping. Their trial results were initially quite positive. So they couldn't understand why they had invested in some KOLs promoting or sharing very good clinical trial data, and they just could not get the brand awareness. So they came to us and said, look, maybe we should try this digital stuff that you guys do, right? We have good data, but we're not getting people engaged. There's one thing of designing a great product and nobody knows about it. You still go bust. It's a very, very expensive gamble, particularly in pharmaceutical industry. It's just disproportionately skewed to doing lots and lots of research and development up front, rightly, because we need to be protected, right? That's okay, but you can imagine the bet that is for the company if the drug is done not getting traction. You can go through all the market access, but if you don't get traction, that's a real problem. Now, you think about big drugs, big budgets. Where we find real challenges is in niche cancer treatments that really have a very low prevalence amongst population, and that's where sometimes you need the most engagement, because you will need only to engage a small subset of the healthcare professionals. So if you've got a very rare cancer, you need to understand what the people in that cancer area are talking about online. And so that's what we did in the UK. We actually dissected the whole conversation by healthcare professionals in the cancer treatment area, and we played that back. And one of the things that came up was that actually a lot of clinicians were saying, oh, that's a first. That's not what the healthcare professionals were saying, by the way. It's my reflection on the table collapsing. Whilst you get that cleared up, just give that a moment.
Or do we just want to leave it there?
You could also just, well, I mean, it's difficult to make notes on a table that's on the floor. This happens in healthcare industry, yes, yes. This is when when your drug trial results collapse. It looks a bit like that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah. All the time, yeah. Even wraps collapse, yeah.
We need to wrap up.
Okay, fine, done. So whilst the table's getting sorted, I'll finish my story because we're on time. So basically, the healthcare professionals were not talking about the drugs. They were talking about the table has died. Sorry. I'm thinking of a nice pun to make now, but I can't think of one. Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Don't want this table anymore. Give me another one. Yeah. Well, it's a very good one. So the healthcare professional, I'll try one more time. What were they actually saying? They were saying this particular cancer has a significant social dogma attached to it. And there is a significant implication. We need to come alongside and actually address that bit and not necessarily talk about the drugs with them. So come alongside and say, actually, there is stigma attached to this. We need to enable the healthcare professionals and the patients to get rid of the stigma. So the whole marketing campaign was about reducing stigma related to this particular cancer. Nothing to do about, they were wondering why we have got such good results. The clinical conversation wasn't about that. The clinical conversation was very different. So this is the power of digital engagement. Right, okay, so final slide. As marketing continues to evolve, let's make sure that we not lose the human at the center of it all. And technology absolutely changes rapidly. It's interesting, when ChatGPT came up with version 5, people already started talking within a week, started talking about what 6 could do. So technology goes really, really fast. But empathy and building long-term relationship is really, really important in marketing. And the technology should really be a way of making sure that stays at the center. So we should understand people. That's where it's supposed to start. And that's where we try in the 21st century, with all this technology in our hands, to try and keep it human-focused. So with that, I think we wrap up. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you found it very helpful.